He's leaving already. He's still fixing things for. Look at this.
Does that sound better?
Is that better?
I think that sounds less like a tin can.
It does sound a little tin canny.
A little bit.
Welcome, everyone. So, in preparation for today, I sat down and I wrote down everything. Wrote down all my thoughts about Tom. And then I went to confession. So here I am for my penance today. 18, 19, 20 years ago, Tom was hired. I was here. I know a lot of you think I couldn't possibly be old enough to be here when Tom was hired. I was a teenage assistant principal at the time. And I remember the principal in the newsletter introducing Tom said, "Tom Costello, the nicest guy in the world." Tom's making a face. But really the great thing over the last nearly 20 years has been for me to get to watch really one of the nicest guys in the world. For me personally, they always say job satisfaction is really tied to having a friend at work, and Tom has been amazing. I can't thank him enough for what he's done for me personally, or to me personally, depending how you look at it. But Tom is such a nice, to see Tom on the 8th grade trip, to see him interact with kids and the relationships he's built with the kids is amazing. To see Tom, again, deal with me. And if you've never had to do this, let me just give you a picture of one day in Tom's office. We're working on something and Tom's pulling out all this data and information. And my mind, of course, is, "Oh, Tom, remind me later, I need you to do something." And if you know Tom just looked at me and sighed because he knew, Tom, he had to do it right then. So I really appreciate the fact that his OCD never killed my ADD. And that kindness that he showed. The kindness that he showed every day to families and students of Little Flower that a lot of people didn't get to see. The things that he did behind the scenes, the way that he worked with families to make sure that they could afford to be at Little Flower, that they could stay at Little Flower. Every time that we worked on anything dealing with school and tuition and all of those things, Tom always had in mind, will this make it affordable and available for everybody at Little Flower? And that was always in the back of his mind. It was always impressive to see how much he cared, how hard he worked for everybody. To see how hard he worked for the staff, the students, everybody here. Staff, I gotta admit, 19 years, I never looked at one of my paychecks because I always knew if it was wrong, Tom would find it. I never had to worry about that because Tom was always on top of it for absolutely everyone and everything. But today what I really most probably want to thank Tom for is for the times he's not nice. Not that big long list, I know, not that one. Not nice like making me watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off on the 8th grade trip. That's cruelty, that's a different category. But I think what I want to most thank Tom for, and I think as a parish and a school, what we really need to thank Tom for is all the times that he wasn't nice, that he had to be the guy who made the rules. Tom had to be the guy who called me and said, "Kevin, I don't mean to be a jerk, but this is the 4th time I've asked you to do something." Tom is the one who always held us to be accountable for the things that needed to be done. Tom is the one who made sure that we had programs and processes that we followed. And I know that was hard on him to always have to be the bad guy to enforce that. And I don't know if we all realize how wearing and tiring that can be. But I don't think there's any greater sign of someone's love for a parish and a school and the people of it than he put us above his needs always. Kind of like Batman. You don't always get the superhero you want to be, but you get the one you need. And Tom really has been the superhero that Little Flower has needed. It's been tough. We've asked way too much of him, and he's always given it. He's always challenged me to be better. He's always challenged all of us to be better. We wouldn't be here without him. The superhero that Little Flower needed, Tom Costello. Thank
Today, we come together to honor, celebrate, and thank Tom Costello for his 17 years as Director of Stewardship and Administration after his twice postponed retirement. As many of you know, he planned to retire on December 31st, 2016. However, because his replacement could not start until the beginning of April, he agreed to continue until then. When his replacement quit after 1 week, he agreed to continue until we found a new replacement. Angie Mackel started on July 24th, and Tom has worked with her since that time to help her transition into her new role. There are so many things I could say. When I first was appointed pastor at Little Flower, having no previous experience as a pastor, I was delighted to know that he was the Director of Stewardship and Administration. Tom is one of the brightest, most multi-talented people I have ever known. One of the primary reasons he was so successful as Director of Stewardship and Administration is because he treated the parish resources as carefully as though they were his own. This often enabled us as a parish to be in much better financial shape than many other parishes who should have had far more resources. However, at the same time, he was also very creative. For example, enabling us to develop a very successful annual fund for the school. However, the best evidence of his genius was his creation and implementation of our $800,000 capital campaign to fund a new HVAC system for the school, including air conditioning and a new school roof. And I think we can feel the air conditioning today. Several people made the point or comment that we could not possibly be successful without professional outside advice. We raised over $1 million through the generosity of parishioners, alumni, parents, and friends of Little Flower. However, this does not begin to tell the story of Tom's years of service at Little Flower. When I came, he welcomed me warmly, often having lunch or dinner with me during those first few weeks. I quickly learned that he was the go-to person in almost every area of parish life. And the parish would be better off if I let him make the decision or followed his recommendation. The second thing I learned was that Tom's responsibilities were not limited to stewardship and administration. He was also responsible for faith formation, including conducting baptism preparation classes, assisting with the RCIA process, coordinating youth ministry, and serving as a resource to the person responsible for Sunday morning religious education, vacation Bible school, and sacramental preparation. And, of course, he had his music responsibilities on top of that. The third thing I learned was Tom's work ethic. No one works harder than he does. No one puts in more hours than he does. Although it is true every day, it was never more true than during the festival. The final and most important thing I learned was that Tom loves Little Flower Parish and its parishioners. Tom knows almost everyone. He knows everyone's address. When it comes to responding to parishioners in any need, he always demonstrates a servant heart, especially as Kevin noted when it came to making it possible for students to attend Little Flower School. As much as I and the parish will miss him in his previous role, I'm so happy for him that he now will have some time for himself that he so richly deserves. However, I cannot end without thanking Mary Martha, who shared him with us so generously, besides being an extremely generous volunteer herself. Think silent auction, fish fries, art and environment committee, and these are just the big ones. So therefore, Tom and Mary Martha, I want to thank you both from the bottom of my heart in the name of our parish. And now, Tom, that you're retired, we understand, or semi-retired, we understand you want to enhance your culinary skills. So we provided a few gifts to help you in that endeavor. And now that you have more time to spend with your lovely wife, we've included something for you to enjoy together. And we'll present those now, and then I'll come back for one more.
You can go over if
Thought
you
we were
want.
gonna let her. No.
You can go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can you
All
help?
of you gonna help?
Carolyn got it. Don't worry. Yeah. You wanna go help her?
Oh, wait, there's
Well-
something there. There's something in there. Oh. Cheers. Oh, elevating my home cooking.
What does it say?
Taste
Taste and technique. Recipes to elevate your home cooking.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know what's in there? Can I help?
I don't need help.
You don't need help. Of course not.
You wanna go over there with your cousins?
Of course not. See if that do it. Ugh. Yeah, she doesn't need help. What's here? Whoa. Whoa. Oh, it's from the Capitol Grill. Whoa, it's a gift card from the Capitol Grill.
Did everybody hear that? It's a gift card from the Capitol Grill.
Wow. Wow. It's a big gift card from the Capitol Grill. Are you still okay, or can I help?
I
You need help.
need
It is really hard. I know.
For that one it is.
It is.
It's exciting. I want to see it. I want to see it instead. Me too.
Okay, you can both see.
I want to see first.
Oh my gosh, it is really hard.
Tom needs to run up.
Okay. Ask Angie not to quit while I'm trying to get this open. Oh, Omaha Steaks. Oh, gift cards from Omaha Steaks.
Oh, well, he can practice his cooking
Oh yeah,
and technique on those.
that's great. Okay, you see that? Okay.
And finally, Tom Costello, in honor of your retirement and for all of your efforts, Little Flower Parish will award $1,000 annually in the form of a scholarship of your design. So we're creating Little Flower thanks you deeply for your undying dedication to the parish and its people.
Okay. Probably can't beat a Carolyn.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't like the scholarship. Can you hear me? I tried to turn it down a little bit. I don't have any notes, and that could be good or it could be bad. I guess we'll find out. Yesterday, we had a wedding in church, and Father Bob, during the homily, and I really do listen to the homilies, but during the homily, Father Bob alluded to the fact that he had talked to this couple while they were preparing for marriage, and they had talked about the fact that that their family would be first, but that they also realized they had an obligation and a duty to serve others. Well, 41 years ago tomorrow, I married somebody who shared that feeling with me. And Father Bob alluded to this when he spoke, but I don't think either one of us had any idea what was ahead. And so many things changed 17, 18 years ago. And really, you all have no idea how many times I said I needed something at the store, or I needed something to be done, or don't you think we can just organize fish fries? Even though we didn't really know anything about fish fries. But if anybody here was at that very first fish fry, Father Vince brought in these experts from Brownsburg. Was anybody here? The experts from Brownsburg came in. The line was down this hallway. It was the most horrible thing that I'd ever seen. And I went home and I said, we don't know anything about fish fries, but we have to be able to do better than that. And we did. So, as a result of marrying me 41 years ago tomorrow, Mary Martha signed on to so many things that she had no idea she was going to sign on to. So, help me to think. Thank you to our staff who said goodbye to me so many times. I have to tell you that last May, these poor school children, they don't know what's going on. Last May, I got a card from every child in school to wish me well on my retirement. It was probably early in May, might have been even late April. It was early enough that several weeks later, kids started to look at me and say, "We thought you were leaving." The staff had a really, really nice appreciation week for me last March. It was a great week, and I appreciate it very much. I never left. I told them in a note a few weeks ago that I also never appropriately thanked them, because the world kind of turned upside down then, the first week of April. So, as Kevin kind of alluded to in a really nice way, I haven't always been the easiest person to work with. I never thought about it in terms of my OCD and his ADD, but it gave me a whole new understanding just now. of kind of what the dynamic probably was really like. And I probably have a pretty difficult work ethic that might be difficult to work with sometimes. So I appreciate them very much and thank them for everything that we were able to accomplish while I was here. Most of all, I think people always feel this way about the parish where they belong, and certainly about the parish where they work. But this place is just full of generous people, and nothing happens in a parish without time and money. And the fact that people have been free with both of those things have allowed a lot of things to happen here. And I could have sat here 24 hours a day and worked, but if I didn't have people's time and money to work with, nothing could have ever happened. And I'm really grateful for that. People talk about the festival, and I've heard a lot this year, especially about, you know, how well we did last year, and how that might relate to some other parishes. And it's like, how can you possibly run that festival? It's a little bit strange. We've talked about it a little bit because normally the festival is not necessarily staff run in a lot of parishes. Well, the festival is not necessarily staff run here either. The festival is run by some really, really good volunteers who really have got this thing down. And although, you know, there's some oversight things that I have done, it's a perfect example of what people can do when they pull together. And there's those examples throughout my time here. And the air conditioning that you feel is one of those financial examples. So I'm certainly grateful for all those times. So I'm not really going anywhere, still be around. I think we've got it timed out at 23 hours a week. We'll see how that goes. I'm committed to trying to make that a reality. And Peggy and everybody who helped Peggy with today, thank you very much. Lovely gathering. Thank you for coming. Where is Peggy? Thank you. And Lisa and whoever all helped today.
Tom, can we go ahead and do this again next year?
No, she's here to stay. She doesn't know this, we've secretly implanted a device under her skin so she can't leave. Well, we've got her tracked now, and everything's going well, so thank you very much, and looks like Teresa's ready for a nap. Thank you.